I found myself constantly drowning in self-neglect until I found this one hack that really just helped me trick my brain into feeling slightly better when life was feeling like it was in shambles. Which right now it does, and I'm really going through it right now if I'm being completely honest with you. I've been really struggling to even pick up the camera and film for my channel, but here I am, so... But have you ever had those days where everything just feels like too much? Because I've definitely been there, and especially lately, just feeling so down and overwhelmed and dissociating a lot without even realizing it. But I know what happens when I just let myself stay there, and so I am actively choosing not to allow myself to stay there too long. And I'm learning that it's the smallest actions that actually make the biggest difference during this time. And I've talked about this so much on this channel because it is something that has been so relevant in my life, so I'm going to keep talking about this. Last year was a hard season, and this year started off really probably worse, but we're getting through it, and these are the things that help me. So I just want to share how I trick my brain into feeling even slightly better when life feels heavy. And this isn't about toxic positivity and not feeling a negative emotion. Like, there is a time and place to feel those negative emotions and to process, of course. That is so necessary. For me personally, I know what happens when I allow myself to stay in the negativity. And sometimes I just need to do something to just shift me out of being so low. Like, I'm not saying that like I'm going from like 0 to 100. It's like bringing me from like my low of like, maybe I'm at a 5% low, boosting me up to maybe like a 15-20% low. And that can feel like such a huge shift when you are in these low seasons. So that is what this is about. This isn't about never feeling negative emotions. This isn't about always being happy all the time. It's about not neglecting yourself when life is hard. Now, when I'm in these low seasons and everything just feels like too much, like getting out of bed feels like too much, like taking a shower feels like too much. It truly is the little things that help me keep my head above water. They help carry me to the other side of that rough season. Now, I don't know how long this rough season is going to be. I don't know how long the next one's going to be. You know, we don't have a timeline on these things, but the little things, however long that season is, they help me get through, keep my head above water, and doing little things for myself. But okay, so what are these little things that I keep talking about? Now, what I really wanted to say during this segment, and I've talked about this concept before, is using the little things in your life like sticks to pull yourself out of the mud, and the mud being that heavy season that you're in. I've made a whole video on this if you want to go and watch that. I've recently seen another creator talk about this, and it was one of those reels I saw and accidentally refreshed and it got lost in the abyss, but they referred to these little things as like creating a dopamine menu for themselves. So I really wanted to just share that concept of a dopamine menu because it articulated like this whole concept that I'm trying to share in this video. It articulated it so well, this whole idea of a dopamine menu. So I would love for you to just keep that in mind throughout this video because I didn't mention it when I was recording this, but it is something that I find so helpful. And for me, I call them like the small little wins in my day. They're just little actions that I can take to make me feel good, to boost my little feel-good hormones, even if just slightly. Something that makes me feel accomplished. I find when I neglect those little things that feel like they're not even anything, like that's when I really start to spiral. So they might not feel like they matter to some people, but for me, they are lifesavers. And an example of what a small win looks like for me is like making the bed, listening to a short and sweet motivational podcast, writing down 3 gratitudes, or eating a meal and not really focusing on like, is this a nourishing meal? Just eating something. Because if you're like me in these seasons, like eating a meal is like a miracle. Okay, so we are celebrating the fact that we are eating something. We are putting substance into our body, and we're not getting hung up on is this nourishing or not. You know, down the line, you know, once I'm in a habit of like eating something daily, I will then be like, okay, we need to make sure that one of these meals are nourishing. But like when you are at the low, like you need to take the pressure off and give yourself grace and just make sure that you are eating something. Side tangent, but it needed to be said. Other small wins for me are something like just getting 5 minutes of fresh air. Just allowing myself to like get some sunlight first thing in the morning or get some fresh air for 5 minutes. Or picking up my laundry off the ground and putting it into a basket. Changing out of my PJs into clean PJs. days. Doing a 5-minute skincare routine, or just like painting my toenails. Now, I know a lot of those things, like 5 minutes of fresh air, you know, a 5-minute skincare routine. I use this 5-minute hack a lot, and it saves me in these seasons. I recently spoke about it on my mini Monday pep talks on episode 2. You can check the link in the description if you want to check those out. They can get delivered straight to your inbox, or you can just go and listen to that episode. They're literally like under 2 minutes. It's not going to take much time of your day. There are so many things that you can put on that list of small wins, and these are the things that I've seen these small wins do for my mental state. They've helped me collect evidence from my brain so that I can like challenge my negative self-talk and my limiting beliefs. I challenge it with the fact that I've done the thing. I've picked my laundry up on the floor. I am capable of doing something for myself today. You know, even if it's just a little thing. I am capable of getting out of bed and making my bed. I don't know if there is more science behind this, but it genuinely does make such a big difference when I'm in those low seasons. When I'm not in those low seasons, I probably would feel like I'm being lazy. But when you're in those low seasons, doing those little tasks feel like you are moving mountains, and that's why they are so important, to just do something little. We're not trying to overhaul our whole life overnight. I've seen them give me this little boost of dopamine hit. And again, when you are in these rough, low, depressing states in life, like getting a little boost of dopamine in a way that is actually improving your life or like serving you for the better, that is the key word, because you can search for dopamine hits in a lot of things that are not serving you, but doing something that is like looking after you, like and it's giving you a little dopamine hit, you getting a little reward, it's a feel-good feeling, you know? And that's why I aim to do one of these first thing in the morning, and that my go-to one is making the bed. That is my go-to. It's simple, it's easy. I'm already in the bed because I'm sleeping, so I wake up and I'm already there. I'm in the bed, so I get to stand up and make it. And sometimes I stay in bed for way too long before I get up and make it, but even if I am spending half my day in bed, if I get up and make it, that is the small win. But when it comes to small wins, it is so easy to go down the comparison road and tell yourself that, oh, well, she was able to do this, this, and this while she was in her low season, and I just can do this. Like, the small wins are not cookie cutter, and that is the most amazing thing. It should be a breath of fresh air to hear that. You get to curate this to look like whatever you need in this season. And I loved that. I love that I got to get creative and think about, like, what are the things that are going to make me feel good? Because what makes me feel good and what makes me feel accomplished isn't what makes the next person feel good or accomplished. Something like tidying up my desk at the end of the week really helps me, I don't know, feel good, feel accomplished. It's a good feeling for me. When I see my desk decluttered at the end of the week, it's a good feeling. But for you, that might not be it. For you, that might not land. For you, it might be something else completely different. Maybe for you, it's just like stretching for 5 to 10 minutes while the kettle's boiling. You get to get creative with this, and you get to like really adapt it to who you are and your lifestyle. I don't know. I just feel good when I do one, and then I'm more likely to do another, and then another. And then before I know it, they add up in the day, or they add up over the week. And it's like, oh, I've done like 4 things for myself this week when I'm feeling like I don't even want to get out of bed. That is such a good feeling, because it's just like, it's showing you this is who I am. This is how I'm able to show up for myself in hard seasons. I'm not someone that completely neglects myself in hard seasons. And doing those little things really solidifies that belief, for me at least. I find when you start making the habit to do at least like one a day, it's like a snowball effect. I'm more likely to do more because I keep them short and sweet. It's like, at least I'm doing something. Like, this is not a lot by any means, but I'm doing something. And that's always better than nothing. And I get it. Like, some days you're just not going to want to feel like doing anything. I definitely have those days where I just want to rot and feel crappy. And I let myself have those days, but I make sure that it's like a day. I don't allow myself to stay there for too long, because I know me, and I know that I will spiral, and it's going to be 10 times worse for me. Neglecting myself, I'm going to wake up in X amount of time and not even recognize the person that I am. And I know I'll be kicking myself, because I've been there. I've done it. And that's why I'm so big on this. That's why I talk about it so much. Of course, like, I'm talking about it a lot because this is my life right now, and it's easier for me to show up and create content when I'm able to talk about things that I'm going through, especially when it's hard, because I'm going through a hard time right now. So it's really hard for me to create certain types of content where I'm just happy, this and that, like, I want to talk about stuff that's real and relevant in my life. So I just try not to let too many days pass, but when I'm not doing anything for myself. What I love is that the small wins are so flexible as well. They don't take much time. So even if I spent 90% of my day rotting in bed, I can still take like 5 minutes, not even, to just get up and get my laundry off the floor and put it into a basket, or change out of the pajamas I've been sitting in for 2 days and put on some fresh, clean pajamas. Like, that doesn't take much, but it's that action that really, I don't know, it shifts something in me. It really does shift something in me. The small win just feels so huge, and it's not much, but it's a start. It's me taking action in my life. I'm doing something instead of doing nothing. And like I keep saying, when you just want to hide under a rock because life is so rough and overwhelming, doing those little things is everything. It's everything, and it should be celebrated. So my practical tip when it comes to the small wins and tricking your brain into doing those little things that are going to give you the little dopamine hits and the little feel-good vibes, like, create a list of your go-to 5 to 10 small wins that you can fall back on, so that you don't even have to think about it. Having the go-to list helps me so much because I don't even have to think about it. It's just there, and I can just like pick 1 or 2 or however I'm feeling that in that day, and you can just commit to doing 1 and seeing where that takes you. Last year, when I was like really in the thick of going through it, I committed to picking 3 a day, and like, that was like my big task for the day, was to do 3 things off of this list. But I think that that's the best part, because it's adjustable in, like, no matter what season you're in, or like depending on where you're at and what you need and what you like are feeling capable of. Like, that's why I say, like, just start small and like commit to the 1, and then if you feel like doing a couple more, you can. But it's just like, set the bar really low so that you know, going for the low-hanging fruit kind of thing. I would love to know what would be on your small wins list in the comments, so let me know, because I'm always looking for more ideas of things I can add. But remember that the small wins are not about overhauling your life overnight or becoming like instantly the happiest version of yourself. Like, that's not the goal here. The goal is to do something little for yourself as you're navigating through these hard seasons, and showing up for yourself in small ways instead of completely neglecting yourself. That is the only goal here. It's the baby steps. Let me know if you found this helpful by hitting the like button, and consider subscribing, and I hope to see you tuning into another video soon. Bye!